Okay. Good afternoon, evening, or whatever, everyone. Welcome to Raw Dogs Radio. I'm your host, Masante Bay. All right. So, of course, I didn't do reviews for the past couple of weeks. And the reason for that is because there are times that I didn't get to see all of the games. If I don't get a chance to see all of the games, like I said last time, I will not do a review because I feel that I'm not giving the full story of the game. All right. So, but I did watch this one. Finally had a chance to watch it. Now, here's the thing about this game that maybe a lot of people picked up on, maybe they didn't, but the broadcasters didn't, outside of the stare down, was that the Bengals defensively went out there to try to win one for Hugh. Except the problem was, unlike the first time the Browns played the Bengals and Driscoll came into the game, Jeff Driscoll, this time the Browns were ready for him and they shut him down. Of course, Ward was back, which is a huge plus because EJ Gaines is a pass interference penalty waiting to happen. So he didn't see the field that much as a starter. Of course, we know Ward went out with his what has now been determined to be his second concussion of the season. They said that the injury that he suffered in the preseason was a stinger, not a concussion. So this is his second concussion in a month. And there's talk about should they start him next week. The answer is no. You just can't do it. His health is way more important than a meaningless game for the Browns as far as there are no playoff implications involved for them directly. It's just between the Steelers and Ravens. Um, but the Browns, of course, wanted it more. Baker Mayfield was, of course, outstanding as usual, Mr. Undraftable, as Colin Cowherd dubbed him. And I sat back today and I watched that interview between Cowherd and Mayfield, and Mayfield got the better of him. And he's been making Colin Cowherd eat his words all year long. It's just that Colin Cowherd is an egotistical, stubborn son of a bitch, so he will never take it back. He will always find something to dig at concerning Baker Mayfield simply because he just doesn't like him. And that's fine. Here's the thing, because the culture in Cleveland has been changed due to Mayfield, Kitchens, and of course, Greg Williams. But it starts with actually John Dorsey. It starts at the top. He got rid of Josh Gordon, who, of course, as I predicted, not saying that I'm the only one who said it, but a lot of people said it, that he wouldn't finish out the year in New England, and he did not. No surprise there. He's no longer our problem. Come to find out, the Patriots had a babysitter to tail on him and to make sure that he stayed on the up and up, and he snuck away from them like a thief in the night and did whatever he did to violate the NFL's drug policy, be it alcohol or weed, because his problems go deeper than marijuana as far as his drug addictions. Um, so he's out of sight, out of mind. We haven't heard anything about Carlos Hyde ever since he got traded to Jacksonville. Also, Cody Kessler, who's been destroyed psychologically by Hugh Jackson. You see what he's doing down in Jacksonville. Uh, of course, Deshaun Kaiser, he was destroyed by Khalil Mack within a quarter and a half up in Green Bay and hasn't seen the field since and probably doesn't want to see the field anymore. Whatever. Um, of course, Nick Chubb is less than 40 yards away from going over 1,000 yards after finally starting in what, week 7? Week 7. Wow. Wow. Baker Mayfield is 2 touchdown passes away from tying the NFL single season rookie quarterback record for most touchdown passes in a season at 26. He's at 24. I believe he can surpass that. It's just a matter of how the game plays. And people are saying, well, should the Browns sit out their starters in this meaningless game for Cleveland and just wait till next year? And Baker Mayfield and Greg Williams answered the question. No, no. This is a football game. We're paid to play football. And do understand, people, that the Browns, especially Mayfield, wants this win more than anything because people were saying that, well, he hasn't beaten a winning team this year. Beat the Ravens. If you make a clean sweep of the Ravens in a very meaningful game for them, then you've done it. You've beaten a winning team twice and knocked them out of the playoffs. That is, if the Steelers can win next week. I mean, they've got Cincinnati to close out the season in a very meaningful game for them. So it is what it is. Um, Before we even talk, I want to do a whole thing about the whole great. I want to do a video separate talking about the Browns coaching options because I don't know if you all know this, but before I cut all of this on, of course, Harbaugh is rumored to go to the Jets. They're going to lure him out of Michigan. Uh, Mr. Nepotism, they got Mike McCarthy, who was fired in the middle of the season at Green Bay. Like that's a good coaching candidate. He's rumored to be going to Arizona. Lincoln Riley wants to stay. Somebody stupidly brought up Nick Saban, like he's somebody that uh, John Dorsey wants. Get out of here. The way he just abandoned Miami like that. Yeah, no, thank you. No liars in this bunch. Josh McDaniels, people keep bringing up that freaking turncoat idiot's name. No, thank you. I mean, I can go through it, but I'm not. But let's talk about the main event, which was, of course, Baker Mayfield stare down of Hugh Jackson. Now, I'm going to read this story here out of the Cincinnati Bengals community, cincyjungle.com. Okay. This is from Cincinnati. Baker Mayfield stares down Hugh Jackson before the Browns seal their victory over the Bengals here. And I'm going to post a story here in the chat room. So those of you who are watching on the replay, if you go to the chat room, you'll see it posted there. All right. Now this came out today at 9 a.m. And this story is by Nick Manchester. And he says, you don't often see a head coach invest the first overall pick in a player only for beef to form between the two of them months afterwards. Okay, first and foremost, he got the story wrong. Okay. Hugh Jackson didn't invest in Baker Mayfield. They wanted to sit him down for the year. So how was that investing? Of course, we knew that wasn't going to last, those of us that are Browns fans, because when you have a running quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, you know it's a matter of time before he gets hurt. And of course, he did. We saw him get hurt in the preseason, and then we saw him get hurt against the Jets. So here we are. When the Bengals fired defensive coordinator Terrell Austin after week 10, they decided to bring back Hugh Jackson for his third stint with Cincinnati just a few days later. Ugh, let me get my mouth together. The former Browns head coach was fresh off the unemployment line after winning just 4 games in 2.5 seasons. Up, you're wrong. 3 games in 2.5 seasons with the franchise that is 5-2 since its termination. This meant that Jackson would get 2 more chances to play against his former team in 2018. It also meant that Baker Mayfield could air out his fresh beef 2 more times in 2018. After their Week 12 matchup, Jackson went to give Mayfield a hug. Mayfield clearly tried to avoid Jackson, but Jackson did not relent and eventually drew a handshake out of his former quarterback. Yes, he did. He literally chased him down. Mayfield gave a strange response, saying Jackson was in our locker room for asking us to play for him and goes to another team we play twice a year. Never mind the fact that Jackson was let go involuntarily and only chose the Bengals over unemployment. Mayfield clearly did not care for his former head coach and successfully rallied his team around a common adversary. We already covered that he didn't have to take the damn job, but he was so goddamn thirsty that he did it anyway to be the coffee fetcher. He's the white fruit. Anyway, He made his feelings even more clear during their Week 16 matchup, which would end in another victory for the Browns. Despite leading for most of the game, the Browns saw their point differential quickly diminishing during the closing minutes of the game. That's because of the block punt. The Bengals sealed it with a 66-yard pass to the Browns sealed it with a 66-yard pass to David Njoku right before the 2-minute warning against the defense with no timeouts remaining. On the long walk to the other side of the field, Mayfield made a brief detour to the Bengals sideline where he had a staring contest with Jackson. There was also this interesting tweet from Bengals reporter Chick Ludwig after the game. This is what he said, listening to Tim McGee on 700 WOW, I know for a fact Hugh Jackson is the reason Baker Mayfield is in Cleveland. He fought hard to draft him. That is such a fucking lie. Mayfield was not management's number one choice. They wanted Saquon Barkley. That is a fucking lie. John Dorsey knew all along that he was drafting Baker Mayfield. He knew it all along, and he kept it mum because it took them no time to send that card up to the podium. Hugh Jackson didn't fight for him. That is such a lie. Everybody was looking at Darnold. Only Dorsey was looking at Mayfield. Regardless, Mayfield and the Browns have thrived in the absence of Hugh Jackson, which says a lot, and Mayfield is having fun with him now. All eyes will be on these two every time they are on opposite sidelines, however longer Jackson is still in the league. Which is true, possibly. But here's the thing. And those of us who are Browns fans, we know that Hugh Jackson was full of crap. He came off so fake and phony on Hard Knocks, and no telling how fake and phony he was walking around those offices in Berea. And you have a lot of silly little quote unquote pundits like Damian Fat Face Woody, who looked like he might fall out of a chair at any second. All right. Uh Shannon Sharp, who I like, talking crap. He like you're the biggest trash talker as far as a tight end. You're the biggest trash talking tight end in NFL history, but you mad that somebody else is talking crap? Shut up. And they're backing it up. Mr. 6th round pick had to struggle for everything. And of course, that loudmouth on ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, who is, I don't even watch, even when he's on, I turn the channel. I quickly turn the channel. I don't want to hear. And of course, you already know how I feel about Cowherd. Um, Hugh Jackson was an albatross on this team. He was a cancer. He was sucking the life out of his team. He cannot handle a program by himself. He is better off doing what he's doing as an offensive coordinator. There's a reason he was ran out of Oakland. Talking about I saved them. We went 8-8. No telling what would have happened if they would have had a real coach. They probably would have made the playoffs because we see how you coach. You coach the Raider way. Whole lot of penalties, whole lot of sloppy play, whole lot of oops, my bads, but nobody actually getting punished. You're not a real coach. You're a horrible coach. As far as head coach, go back to being the offensive coordinator. I hope Cincinnati gives you the job. I hope they're that stupid. I really hope they're that stupid because I guarantee you, I would love to be at the cemetery when they announced that you're taking over to be the Bengals head coach just so I can hear Paul Brown roll over in his grave, his skeletal remains. Because they're going to be loud and thunderous. So please give it to them. We want you to. Every team in this division, Steelers, Ravens, and Browns, we want Hugh Jackson to become the head coach of Cincinnati. At least Marvin Lewis has been playing competitive football when he's got a complete team. At any rate. So whatever it is, it goes more than what Skip is saying. Skip is talking about how he embarrassed Baker Mayfield, talking about some you won the backup quarterback job, be proud, when he should have won the starting role. It goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. It goes to what Baker Mayfield saw every day in that building with everybody else. Greg Williams, Freddie Kitchens, all of those guys, what they saw every day in that building. Especially John Dorsey. John Dorsey didn't fire him just because. He was around Hugh Jackson for a whole month during the final month of last season. Remember? He was already around him and knew that this guy was garbage and felt that he should have been fired right then and there. As soon as the clock hit 000, somebody tapped him on the shoulder holding up two trash bags, like, here's your stuff. We're here to escort you out the stadium to the parking lot. We got your keys right here, bro. That's what should have happened, but that's not what happened. But it took 8 games for them to finally pull the trigger and do what should have been done last year. But at least it finally happened. So now we have this big coaching controversy going on, which I will talk about probably tomorrow. But what does it matter now? The cancer has been cut out the building. The team is growing now. It's healthy. It has a chance. So good win by the Browns. I'm not upset with what Baker has done. I'm not upset with him snubbing Hugh Jackson. This team needs some asshole in it. It needs some fiery type of leadership. It needs to be cocky. And also, by the way, something that I noticed outside of them now having fun as they're playing football, but also for the first time since the Marty years, did I see the Browns teammates stick up for another player, especially their quarterback. When Mayfield got knocked out of bounds in the third quarter, it was almost a bench, ugh, bench clearing brawl. I haven't seen that in a long time, in over 20, 30 years. I mean, when Antonio Brown kicked our punter in the face, I jumped up ready to go to war. Browns players went back to the sideline like it didn't even happen. I'm like, your punter, your weakest player just got kicked in the face, drop kicked in the face. That's the best y'all gonna do is walk away. When Mayfield was getting helmet to helmeted in the Oakland and the Buccaneers game, you didn't fight for him. Are you serious? I'd have cussed y'all right the fuck out for that. Like, really? I get cornholed and you guys act like nothing happened? I'm sorry. Why am I here? Why am I fighting for you if you don't fight for me? At any rate, it was good to see them finally stick up for one another physically in the fist fight. And the pass that Jarvis Landry threw, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Perryman wasn't his first option. And as much as we say that the Browns need the number one wide receiver, I'm thinking Perryman and Callaway. Well, Perryman is supposed to be a number one pick. And they're thinking that Ozzie Newsome overdrafted him because he was a number one pick, but I don't think he has number one pick talent. Maybe third, fourth round talent that he's now utilizing because a lot of these guys are playing up to their potential outside of Higgins having, the drops he's at occasionally. But maybe Callaway can develop into that number one. We'll see. He doesn't have the height, but he does have the ability. Perriman doesn't have the height, he just doesn't have the heart. Because you have to be a dog. You have to be a hardcore dog to be the number one wide receiver, the go-to option. It's just like Landry. Landry has the heart and the desire. He just doesn't have the ability or the height. So it is what it is. And Njoku's not dominant. He's just big and athletic and fast, as we saw. But he doesn't have the heart to want to take over a game, to dominate a game. That's what you need. You need somebody with the heart, height, and ability to take over a game. That's what a true number one has. They have all three components: heart, height, and ability. At any rate, uh, I appreciate what I saw. They shut down the run. They definitely shut down the pass. Outside of relaxing in the fourth quarter, they did what they did. Up next is the Ravens. We'll see how that game goes. Fingers crossed. Let's hope that they pull this out and go Browns.